Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow Driven VC podcast. Happy Friday and happy Friday Eve to you, Israel Suero from New York City. Welcome to the show, Israel.
Hey, how's it going, B? Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you. And I always like to know whereabouts exactly are you in New York? Because I do love New York. I've been there many times. I know it quite well. Are you upper or lower?
Oh,
Or mid?
I'm based in Queens, New York, and what I always say, a lot of folks they don't travel to Queens too much, but I always say when you come here through airplane, everyone's definitely been to Queens, right? Because you've definitely landed on JFK or LaGuardia, and our two only airports are in Queens. So many folks who have traveled to New York City have been to Queens. I do like to say that. Then they just drive right through it.
Yeah, Frankfurt Queens is really, I'm not, that's really bad of me. I have not stopped and been to Queens, but I've always heard you need to get yourself up to Queens. So next time I do, I'll,
Well, you're from Melbourne, right?
yeah,
So are you, or do you go to the Australian Open?
yeah.
All right, so the U.S. Open is based here in Queens. It's in Flushing Meadow Park, not too far from here. So
Okay, very
that'll be
good.
your next trip.
Yeah, totally. And then I'll come and say hello to you as well. I had no idea.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
That's a little fun fact for us, but we've got a lot to chat about, and I've been looking forward to our conversation. So you're the founding partner at Dash VC. Love that name too, by the way. Dash is something I've been asking everyone how the name came about. Which is an early stage venture capital firm. It's based in San Francisco, but the operations is in NYC, which is where you are. And you guys invest in bold founders building scalable, transformative businesses. It, Israel, you bring a unique global perspective shaped by your background in finance, operations, and startup growth. Excuse me. And at Dash VC, the business focuses on partnering closely with founders to accelerate scaling and impact while also advising on strategy, leadership, and cross-border growth. What I love most about you also, though, is your leadership philosophy is grounded in building strong networks and cultivating excellence through the people you choose to surround yourself with. And I also loved the answer to when you booked in for the podcast.
Mhm.
You said always surround yourself with folks smarter than you or better than you in areas you want to pursue. When in such rooms, don't listen to respond, listen to understand. You're the average of the five people you mostly associate yourself with. So surround yourself with excellent people. Tell us about your journey, how you came to be the founding partner at Dash. Keen to hear it.
For sure, for sure. I'll tell you the whole, provide you with the whole bio.
Love
So,
it. Let's go.
after I graduated college, I majored in finance and investments, right? So the North Star was, work in either a bulge bracket firm or work in Wall Street in downtown Manhattan, right? And I did. I ended up getting employment in a boutique wealth management firm, right?
Yeah.
And it was a lot. Just how in the movies, right? Like day one, the big bosses, they send me to go get pizza for them, right? That happened. And you get nervous, you're like, oh, when am I actually gonna get to do work? That morning I went to greet them, right? Politely, and they just weren't having it. They're like, hey, just go sit over there, right? They didn't even look at me in the eye. And I'm just like, all right, this environment isn't for me. Like, no, nothing inappropriate or anything, but it was just a cutthroat attitude. There was a gentleman who was having a personal call in one of the conference rooms. His boss, he actually barged into the room, yelled in his face, and cursed at him
Oh my
to stop.
gosh.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, whoa, I can't be here. This is wild, right?
How old were
So
you at this point? Like, how old were you in your
I was
career?
I was 22, very
Oh,
early into my
I was
career. I
about
was
to say.
20. Yeah, I did have an internship a couple years earlier when I was 19, uh, in Walsh as well, right? In economic research and consulting firm, and they were much nicer, because they're European. Europeans are just tend to be nicer folks than type A New Yorkers, right? But yeah,
Okay, New
yeah, for sure.
Yorkers, I love it.
Yeah, definitely. But as a 22-year-old, I was like, oh man, this is too much for me. So I did that for some time. But I was also just hustling around, right? I did a couple stints I did several stints in a couple hedge funds, right? In between in the summers, and also I was an analyst for equity trader as well, right? So the first couple years out of college, just trying to not have a gap on my resume, but trying to build as many skills as I can and just raise my hand and just trying to build up my repertoire, right? And I'm like, oh wow, after 2 years, I needed something new. I'm like, I feel like I wasn't moving forward. And so I came across an article on the Wall Street Journal, and it was a light bulb moment. It was when the Saudi Arabia investment company invested $5 billion into Uber, right? When I read that, it resonated with me. I'm like, all right, Uber, I have the app. I didn't use it that much, but I do have the app. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should start applying to non-finance companies, right? Tech companies, you know. This was mid 2016, right? So you heard a ton about, Uber, Lyft,
Yeah.
uh, WeWork, Airbnb, all these companies, tech companies, right?
Yeah.
And call this, again, we've all heard about Google, Apple, Microsoft, right? Those were the pioneers. But then in the decade to 2010 to 2019, it was the gig economy.
That's right.
And so I'm like, all
I was
right, this
trying
is
to
where
think what I was trying to think the name, but I was like, I knew it, but I couldn't. Yeah, and you just called it
yeah,
out.
gig economy. Yeah, well, it's my job to think of the name for today, right? And so I'm like, oh, let me apply to Uber and several of these companies as well. And I did. And several weeks later, I got a call back. An interview was scheduled, right? And they told me like, hey, so we are working on this project called Uber Eats. Is this something you think that might interest you? I was like, oh wow, yeah, sure, why not? And so I accepted the offer, and I was part of the first business development team that launched Uber Eats in New York City
How
back in
cool.
2016. Yeah, definitely cool. Definitely, it was. There's certain moments in life or in your career that shape you. That certainly was one of them. Like I remember getting that, like receiving that offer and just being elated by it. Wow, that was I was 23 now at that time. Now we're going by age. I was 23, a year after the debacle that I mentioned a couple minutes ago. And yeah, it was a great moment in time in my
How did
life.
it how did it shape you, Israel? Like if you reflect now, what was it that shaped you in that role at Uber Eats?
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, during that time, I was at Uber during a very interesting time. Travis Kalanick was the founder and CEO, and he was CEO at the time. And then heading into next year, into the year after, he was ousted as the CEO, as many, I'm sure, as you know, as many of your listeners know. And so I was at Uber during a very tumultuous time and a very formative time for the company and in my career. That's number one.
Yep.
Number two, it was very competitive, right? It was very cutthroat, competitive environment. You had to perform. You had to be a top performer, right? If not, you were not going to have a job for long at Uber. And I was again, it goes back to my philosophy. I was surrounded by excellence, and when you're surrounded by excellence, you yourself, you improve in ways you've never imagined, right?
Yeah.
Because you rise up to the occasion. And there's a term called the Pygmalion effect. It's a true, it's a true philosophy, right? It's a true study that when when you surround yourself with people better than you, when people more excellent than you, right? They then have higher expectations of you, and you rise to the level of those expectations. And again, that's called the Pygmalion effect, right? And yeah, that's when I was at Uber, just every day, just there's always someone just smarter than you, more tenacious, coming from just more interesting background than you, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I
No, I
love being a
agree. I think it always encouraged, and it's interesting that you call it the Pygmalion effect, or that's what it's called, because I didn't realize it was called that either. I'm learning a lot today, which is awesome on a Friday morning. But it was always for me, and it still is today, is you need to be in the bigger pond with the more talented, high performing, like the more you step into the bigger pond, the more you're going to step into what you're capable of, if that makes sense. So it's exactly what you're talking
absolutely.
about here. Even when you don't think you're ready, step into it, associate, be around those types of people.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I want to add, it's okay to have imposter syndrome. We're humans. We all have it,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
What imposter syndrome is, it's a taxation on growth, right? You have to pay a tax dollars for that growth and self-development. So when you are feeling when you do have imposter syndrome, that means you're heading in the right direction. It's okay to feel that way,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes I don't even call it imposter syndrome. Sometimes I admit I'm like, yeah, I don't belong in this room. Like, let me be very clear. I don't, but I will. In the next, just give me a couple reps, give me a couple months, maybe even a year. I will belong in this
I
room.
love it.
But you
So
have to put in, you have
cool.
to put in the work,
You said I
right?
had energy before the show. I feel like you've got the energy, man. Like it's just this like, yeah, I love it. Keep going. So
Thank
tell
you.
us,
No, I mean, I'm definitely passionate about this conversation. So yeah,
yeah, me too. So you do Uber Eats. How long are you at Uber Eats for?
I was there for over a year. I was there for over a year. And I'll get to the story of where I go next, and I'll tie it up to the name of the fund dash VC. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So after Uber Eats, I just felt like it was time for a change. Um, and so I came across this company called DoorDash, uh, and it was growing as my team and I were launching Uber Eats in New Jersey. Many restaurants they kept bringing up, oh, we're signed up to DoorDash, we're signed up to DoorDash. Like, what's DoorDash, right? You've heard of Postmates, Caviar, right? Grubhub, for sure, the major players, but not DoorDash as of yet. And so they were growing fast. And then I'm, oh, let me check this company out, let me see what they're about, right? And I decided to apply. I decided to apply, and coincidentally, they reached out to me as well. So I was like, all right, we're viewing each other. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I
Sinking.
went, and so I went through the application process. I interviewed. It was a lengthy interview and a rigorous one, but a fair one. And I was provided with an offer I couldn't refuse, right? And as this was going on, I remember the recruiter just gave me an inside scoop. She said, "Hey, listen, we are a pre-unicorn company, and SoftBank is soon going to invest $500 million into DoorDash. Like, we're in talks, so this is the right time to get in because you'll get equity and it'll grow." I'm like, "Oh, wow, amazing!" And as a
Sorry, and
finance major,
can I pause you for 1 second? Just can you just explain pre-unicorn just so the viewer, like the audience
oh yeah,
understands? Just
absolutely,
yes.
yes, no, great question, and thank you for that. A pre-unicorn company is a company it is a startup, a fast-growing startup company that is not yet valued at $1 billion,
Right, got it.
but
Got it.
it's heading in that trajectory,
And that's a
right?
unicorn because it's not often you have a unicorn, like it's not often you get like unicorns aren't everywhere. So that's the whole term of the yeah.
Exactly right. So a unicorn company is a startup valued at $1 billion, and a
Great.
decacorn is a company deca valued at $10 billion. So
Got it.
pre-unicorn is not yet valued at 1 billion, but it's on its way there,
Yeah, cool.
right?
Okay, thank you.
For sure. And so I joined DoorDash when it was a pre-unicorn company. Months later, they officially raised the $525 million from SoftBank Group, and it became a unicorn company. The equity rose, and the rest is history, right? I'm sure folks know it was during December of 2020, during COVID. DoorDash IPO'd. It was a very successful IPO'd, and as of today, it is a $108 billion company. When I joined the company, I believe its valuation was 750 million.
Wow.
So do the math. It definitely shot
Yeah.
up, right? And
I've been
so I was,
involved in a couple of IPOs. Gosh, so full on. Like, yeah, I've enjoyed them,
yeah,
but yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And right place, right time,
Yeah.
right? And that DoorDash had a time where it grew 10x or even over 10x in the year 2018. And yeah, so I learned a lot there. I was part of the New York City team as well. And again, surrounded by excellent people. Um, any conference room you went to, any pod you passed by, it was just a room full of excellent people. And again, I go back to that mantra. Please, please, always surround yourself with folks who are in the pursuit of excellence. Because when you
What
do,
does, yeah, sorry, keep going.
no, 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 go, please.
What does excellent mean to you? Define excellence just out of interest. Like, what does it like? I mean, we've been talking about what you like, but yeah, what would you say in 3 words? What would you say excellence encapsulates?
Discipline, relentless, and tenacity.
Thank
Those
you.
are the 3 words, right? But in terms of, let's say, a sentence or two, folks that just strive to get better, right? And the key, just get 1% better every day.
Yeah,
And if
100%.
you get 1% better every day in a year, that's 365% better.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
so
every
right.
year you're close to 4xing, right?
Hmm.
So that's the key, right? And that's what I define as excellence, right? Yeah, yeah.
Just said excellent.
Where was I at? Oh, I was talking about DoorDash and my time there. Then after that, um, I was in the food ordering delivery industry for more than 3 years, and I needed a change. So after that, I took a brief sabbatical. I spent some time on the West Coast. Did the typical any mid 20-year-old would do. Went to Coachella, went to LA, San Diego,
I love
Seattle.
it. So good.
Yeah, for sure. I went
I
to
love you.
Seattle.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, I went to Seattle, ended up stopping by Kurt Cobain's house. I'm a fan of Nirvana as much as I can be as a millennial, right? I passed by, took some selfies. Yeah, it was a good time. And then after that, I joined a SaaS healthcare startup, did that for some time. Then after that, I joined Yelp as part of the mid-market team. I was there for some time, and during this time, Yelp plus a successful DoorDash IPO, I then became an angel investor. I started investing in several startup companies, early stage, right? And through that, other folks from DoorDash and Uber, they were doing the same. And so we would collaborate, we would co-invest together. And so I figured from this, I'm like, all right, some of these folks, they're gonna eventually start a VC fund, right? And so I'm building these connections early on, and there's only a matter of time in which we were gonna sync together and see what we can build together, who I can invest in, which fund I can invest in, et cetera, et cetera. Fast forward to 2023, one of my former colleagues from DoorDash, um, he he spearheaded a very successful investment syndicate, and he named it it was the DoorDash Alumni Investment Syndicate, right? So a lot of companies, Uber, they have their own Uber Alumni Investment Syndicate. DoorDash, they have their DoorDash Alumni Investment Syndicate. So folks that are currently at the company or they used to work at the company, they pool their money together and they invest in startups, right? And so the value proposition of that is you're getting together former operators from unicorn companies into the cap table, into these startups cap table, thus providing valuable resources, right? So the DoorDash Syndicate was founded by a gentleman named Samid and Michael Block. Michael Block was he was actually the general manager that hired me at DoorDash.
Ah.
Look at that, right? So several full circle
Yeah, I was about
moments.
to say full circle.
Yeah, and then Samid in 2023 proceeded to founding Dash VC again because he started the DoorDash Angel Syndicate, and he was an early DoorDash employee as well as myself as well as other folks that I mentioned. Hence the name Dash VC, right?
Oh.
And yep, and there you go. So another full circle moment. And when Dash VC started, I was one of the first investors, as well as operators. And here we are 2 years later. We are one. I'm glad to say we're one of the top performing funds one of the top performing early stage funds in the 2023 vintage. Right, so we're doing quite well. Seven of our first 12 investments they're marked up. We have as of now more than double the returns of our fund. And yeah, we're doing great. We're doing fantastic.
And what, excuse me, I've got this hay fever. It's spring here in Australia. What 2023 vintage? What is that?
Yeah, meaning the inception of the fund, right?
Okay, cool. Got
So
it.
vintage
Okay.
being what year, like even wine, right? The
Yeah, I was
wine
thinking
vintage.
that.
What year? Yeah, yeah, no, it's that is the proper train of thought, right? So for wine, it's the vintage year the wine was produced. Same in venture capital. What year was the fund started?
I love it. What a story. Like what a journey. Like the big brands you've worked on, then full circle here you are, still that connection back to Dash with, people that have you've looked at them in your career and they're sitting up in this excellence, kind of up here and you're like, I want to be, just give me time and I'll get there. And then you get there, like you connect back with them. You also then took a sabbatical in your 20s. Like it's kind of unheard of, or it's probably more heard of now, but like back in when I was, your age and I'm older than you, no doubt, it was like I would never have thought to take some time out in my 20s. I finished
Yeah,
high
don't tell
school.
my grandma that. She was like, that was outrageous. She was like, what is this? You're not working?
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I did uni and then I went traveling and did the whole, traveling thing, but didn't think to take some time out and work out what was next for me. In terms of the business and how, you're working with building scalable, transformative businesses. Tell us a little bit about the transformative piece here. Like, the businesses that you're that are in your VC, what are they transforming and how are they transformative?
Yeah, so we invest in enterprise software, data infrastructure companies, and essentially, let's just call it AI native companies, right? Because if you're in the enterprise software space and data infrastructure space, it's all under the AI umbrella in terms of what they're innovating, right? What is being
Yeah.
innovated, right? And so we invest in so one of our top investments is in a company called Etched, right? Etch is a ASICs chip, so ASIC short for application specific integrated circuit, and their thesis is that they are more efficient than traditional GPUs. GPUs, they in literal terms, they have a ton of in their chip, they have a ton of machinery, right? But a lot of machinery is not being utilized when optimizing the transformer model, right? And by transformer model is the current model that AI is running on right now, right? It's called transformers. So the bet that Etch is making is with their ASICs chips, they just run transformer models, right? And by doing so, the actual chip itself it takes less actual hardware, right? Thus making it more efficient, and you can run transformer models at greater speed, greater efficiency, thus reducing latency. And if they're able to capitalize on that, I mean,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit. So we invested in the seed stage, and then in the Series A stage, Edge ended up raising from Peter Thiel and other bigger players, 120 million Series A round. And yeah, and so far the company is on thesis so far. So that is one of our big bets.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And what are you seeing as like the big trends at the moment in like in terms of in business, like what are you seeing from a in your portfolio? Like what are you seeing as like the next big thing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. Agentic workflows. That's the biggest thing right now, right? Right now, where when ChatGPT was released, it was all about generative AI. Now I feel it's been commodified. I feel when folks say, "Yeah, I'm AI forward," sorry, what does that mean? Like, oh, I use ChatGPT almost every day. That's great, but it's a commodity now, right? I mean, I think it's more alarming if you don't use ChatGPT,
I
right?
agree.
So I want to hear more, when I think of AI forward, I think, all right, are you using an IDE, integrated development environment, right? Are you using have you built a proprietary agentic workflow into your day-to-day processes, right? That's what I think of AI, of being AI forward now. Reasoning models, the scaling of reasoning models, right? That's a direction that we're headed into. Basically, with generative AI, you need to constantly provide inputs into the AI. With agentic workflows, the process is much more automated,
Yeah.
right? So, let's say with generative AI, it's helping you it's helping you book travel. It's helping you with a guide for being a tourist in a new city, right? When traveling to a new city, it's giving you airline options, right? But with a let's say an agentic workflow, it'll purchase and book the hotels for you
Yeah.
with just a prompt. That's the difference. That's the best way for me to
It's a
explain
big,
it.
it's a good, and it's a good conversation because, like, in terms of overload and cognitive overload, and everything that we have going on, and even when, like, from a founder or when you're starting a business, you're doing everything. You're wearing all the different hats, right? And when you talk about generative AI, it is just like at the moment, it feels like it's just adding more to your your day to day, your workload. And what you're talking about here is like the next step now is to create those agentic AIs so that you are subtracting the load because it's giving you so many different options from a generative AI perspective. You're like, well, okay, I could do this, and this, or but you then like you almost kind of step away feeling overwhelmed. So what you need in your workflow is to then be able to then let it execute, let it do its thing, so you can get back to being strategic in terms of what you're meant to be doing within the business, if that makes sense. Do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do you agree? Yeah. So what do you see as the biggest like when in terms of excellence, when it comes to founders, what are you looking for? Because some of the conversations I've had with VCs is more that it's less about the product market fit and it's more around the founder. And you talked around tenacity, determination, or discipline, sorry, and I can't think of the third one. But like in terms of from a personality
And relentless,
perspective,
being relentless. That was the third
relentless,
one.
that's right. Yeah, what else is it that you in terms of in your VC that you look for when looking to invest?
Yeah, great question, and one of my favorite questions. One of my favorite questions for sure. Um, so, I like to say this. We invest in the top 1% founders, building the top 1% products, solving the top 1% problems, right? What does that mean? So again, back to excellence. So I'll tell you this. Gavin Uberti, the founder and CEO of Etched, right? I'll tell you a little bit about him. In high school, he won an international robotics competition and an international mathematics competition, right? So already early on, he was a prodigy. He got accepted to Harvard. He then dropped out of Harvard to start Etched, right? At the age of 21, at 21 or 20, right? And then a year later, he was accepted into the Teal Fellowship. So you see that track record of excellence, right? From an early age to even now pursuing what he's pursuing. And he has raised millions and millions of dollars, and he can't even rent a car yet. You know what I mean? So that's an example. Another example, we invested in this other founder at age 13, he's been coding and built his own apps, right? And during COVID, when everyone was very comfortable, I mean, I don't mean to be facetious, COVID was a very difficult time. A lot of folks, they stayed at home, right? And a lot of folks, they took the time to just relax, spend time with family, whatnot. This particular founder, um, his name is Daniel. There's another founder now. He that year he had three different, and he had an internship in Apple, Amazon, and Meta during COVID when the world was burning. So it
Yeah,
seemed
closing down. Yeah.
he exactly right. Then we have another founder, the founder and CEO of one of our other portfolio companies, Jericho Security. His name is Sage Wands, right? He's a second time founder. His first company, he sold it. He had a very successful exit. This company, he's again is scaling it immediately. Earlier this year, when the government was slashing DoD contracts, well, Sage Wands and Jericho Security, you know, they signed three contracts with the DoD. Look at that. You have a problem. What's the problem? The problem is the government was slashing. Well, he provided a value proposition to this administration and signed three contracts. So then now, with that in turn, he then now, months later, he went to Japan and South Korea and signed contracts with their Ministry of Defense because if it's good enough for the Department of Defense in the United States, well, it's good enough for the rest of the world, right? At least that's the imagery. So again, I just gave you examples of three founders that we have invested in. They have a track record of success, a track record of excellence, right? And you have to really peel the layers and to really find out how excellent they are and how excellent they're going to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is about the future as well. It can't just be right now. Do they have it, what it takes? Two final questions for you. I haven't spoken to anyone about like successful exits in terms of like I've been involved in when we were acquired by a company and it was a long earn out. Would I say it was a successful exit? It was a long earn out for etc. And I know there's a difference between an exit and an earn out. What would you say is a successful exit and what's a not successful exit, if that is such a thing?
Yeah, you mean in VC or for any, you mean in the
Well,
venture capital
yeah,
industry?
in the venture capital, yeah.
Okay, wow. Okay, great question. So, for folks that are listening in, venture capital is a power law game, meaning the majority of your returns are based on only a singular amount of companies, right? Let's say if a venture capital fund invests in 100 companies, right? Expect that 85 of them are going to fail.
Yeah.
Then you have 15. Out of those 15, probably 10 are gonna break even or are gonna return 1x, 2x, 3x. But then the other five, you're gonna get a 100x return from those five companies, right? 100x, 200x, 300x. 500x, whatever, right? Infinity X, let's just call it. That's
Excellent.
yeah, that's the venture capital game, right? Um, so in venture capital, in terms of one company, one startup returning 3x, that's a 300% return in theory. That sounds great, but not in venture capital, right? It just really isn't. You really need to capture 100x return from one company or a couple companies in your portfolio. And now all that average, I told you about 100, 85 are going to fail, 10 are probably going to 1x, 2x, 3x, and then the other five are going to get the most. A successful venture capital fund after 10 years should beat the S&P 500. We're talking 5x return, 7x return, 10x return, 12x return. That's the average of the fund itself. But that 12x return, that 12x overall fund return is due to probably a 100x return within the portfolio
Yeah,
that
right.
raises the average.
Yeah, right. It's fascinating.
It's a very, very competitive industry.
Yeah. I want to switch it to excellence. Do you apply excellence in all of you in terms of not just work? Because I believe that, life and career is interconnected, right? Like I'm not a fan of the word life work-life balance because I don't think you can't just turn one off and then be into the
I
other.
agree. 100% agree. Yeah.
It's like life work flow for me that you can come have ideas in your pet when you're in your personal life about work, vice versa, sort of thing.
Or like Jeff Bezos says, work-life harmony. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that one too. Yeah. But yeah. But so do you, in terms of excellence, like is excellence your mantra in terms of the whole of you? Like, and when do you allow yourself, if you ever, to drop the excellence just to be able to, I don't know whether chill's the right word, but just to be able to um, give yourself some grace, if that makes sense.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So I like to think and I like to pursue excellence in other areas of my life as well. So for example, I just finished running the Chicago Marathon on October 12th.
Yeah.
Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I achieved my goal, and to achieve that goal, there's I had to put a lot of excellence into that training
Yeah.
regimen,
I love
right?
it.
For 16 weeks, and not every week went well, right?
Yeah.
But the weeks that did go well, what did they have in common? I was running with folks that were faster than me. They got into the track at 6 a.m. I make sure to be there at 5:55 a.m. because I had that catching up to do,
I love it.
right? Um, I have a coach, right? And I was also running alongside his other clients as well every other week during the summer, during the hot summer days, right? And for fall marathon training, what I'd like to say is you train in the summer to execute in the fall. That summer training is very arduous, is very sloppy.
Yeah.
A lot of times you have your hands on your knees, I like to say. You're just it's hard.
Yeah.
But once the fall breeze comes, you can just breeze through,
Yeah.
right? So, I definitely, and what I've learned from marathon running is I've been able to apply that into work, actually. So the other way around. So that's to answer the first part of your question. Now to answer the second part of your question, yes, I'm a believer that you need to turn the switch off at times. When does that occur? I'm the commissioner of my fantasy football league. As much as I do like to win, listen, as I'm playing general manager of my team, there's not a lot of excellence going on there. It's fun. The group chat is funny, right? But sometimes you need to have those zones. Or like last night, I'm a New Yorker. Knicks were playing
Yeah.
in season.
I've seen the
Um,
Knicks. I've been there. I've been to the yeah.
oh, nice, nice, nice. It's good to take a couple hours out of your evening to watch the game, right? Or I love watching movies and watching shows. Yeah, of course, I like to lay back a little bit and consume content. And yeah, that's totally okay. You need that. You need that, right? So no, absolutely. I definitely recommend you need certain safe spaces where you can just not think about performance and just consume content. And I think that's totally okay. You need that.
Yeah, I love it. Last question, and I'm going to keep this really open-ended because you're just like you've got this amazing energy. You're giving me
Thank you.
so much, like we've had such a great conversation. If you could give any piece of advice or words of wisdom right now, what would it be?
Yeah, okay. Life isn't linear. You don't grow like this. You grow like this.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of ups and downs in life, but it's like playing with a yo-yo while walking up the stairs. The yo-yo continues to go up and down, right? As you're playing with the yo-yo, but you're going up the stairs. So, you might be facing a setback now, but if you look back 3 years prior, you're so much further than where you were. So, maintain perspective, you know, relax. You're not doing bad. You're just in a bit of a downturn, but that downturn is where you dreamt of being 3 years prior, right? So that's my piece of advice.
Yeah, I have had the best Friday morning conversations. I don't know what it is, but Friday
I
mornings, I mean, every
appreciate that.
conversation I'm having is great, but on a Friday, I'm getting such the vibes. Every Friday, like when I'm having my Friday mornings, like, you're getting into the weekend and I have these conversations and it's amazing. How do we find out more about you? And I do have one very last question, but is Dash VC, what's the big goal? Like, is the big goal to get a unicorn within do you have a massive goal?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So in our portfolio, we already have two unicorn companies,
Oh,
right? We do. One of them have 20x, one of them has 10x. So, right? So we hope to see it through and
incredible.
thank you. We hope a successful exit from those two companies and other pre-unicorns in our portfolio, right? The goal is we're in fund one right now, and we're in fund one, and so once we close fund one, we're going to see those investments through. And like I said, the power law, right? We'll see which ones are going to be winners. So far, we do have a couple winners, or we foresee having a very, very successful exit in the 30x, 50x, 100x range, right? So we'll see those through, right? And eventually, we want to grow more funds, right? Fund two, fund three, fund four, and this is a 10 to 20-year game. So
Love
we're not
it.
done yet. I'm very early in this career.
Yeah. Amazing. I can see, yeah, and there's lots to go. How do we find out more about Dash VC? How do we find out more about you as well, Israel?
Um, well, since Dash VC is very early on, I think myself and Dash VC are kind of synonymous at this point, right? So in terms of me, LinkedIn, my first and last name Israel Suero. Instagram, IZZSWERO. It's a personal Instagram. It's not a work Instagram, but
I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna ICZ. Got it.
SWER. It's a play on my Israel Suero. Short is Suero, and I changed some letters, right? Just to keep it trendy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you can find me in terms of Dash VC. Um, we are redesigning our website, right? Just to showcase and convey our story now, right? But yeah, that basically I think once you can find me, my LinkedIn, you can get into Dash VC
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah. When aren't we updating our own brands, our own websites, etc.? So it's like, when you're working with all these different companies, yeah, there's always something. It's part of being in a non-linear world. Nothing's linear, right? So Israel, thank you so much. I've had an amazing conversation. Wishing you a wonderful rest of the Thursday evening and happy Friday getting into it. So thank you again for your energy, excellent conversation.
Well, B, thank you for having me. Thank you. So I appreciate you. Thank you. It's been a excellent conversation. Let's maintain the theme of excellence. It's been an excellent
It's
conversation.
totally excellent. Thank you. Have a good night.